What up, and Still TV in the building, coming at y'all with another one. So check it out, guys. As y'all know, we love boxing more than just about anything, but sadly, there is a flip side to that. In this sport, there are a lot of politics and a few things that we don't really like. So one of the fighters that's been a victim of the whole political side is Jermall Charlo. So in this vid, we're going to talk about what he got to do to get a fight and everything that's going on surrounding him. So cue the intro.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. Let's split it airways so y'all don't get it mixed like it's true. Hey, Canelo, listen to me. Look at me right quick. Canelo never gave me no contract. I've never turned down no contract. I never got a contract from Oscar De La Hoya. I never got a call contract. I played along with the shit. They make it relevant. Never got a contract from none of them. Never turned down no contract. I've been eating turkey leg since it opened. Fuck out of here. We ain't scared of nobody. Y'all tripping. I've been doing this shit all my life already. America need a new champ. You know what I'm saying? America need a new swag god. Like, y'all still on that old shit. Like, come on, man. Grow up. Canelo ain't never gave me no contract. I ain't never done Canelo. I never do no shit like that. Why would I do some shit like that that's gonna put my whole family up? Like, I'm gonna change my mama life. Why would I duck a fight with Canelo? Y'all stupid as fuck.
Welcome back, YouTube. We got another good one for you. We got our guest in the building, D.A. the Dean. That's Cuzzo.
What's up, y'all?
All right, we're going to talk about something a little serious today. I had a rough week last week. I think it all started with all the Canelo news of his next opponents. And I started thinking about Jermall Charlo and how his career is panning out and kind of just how he keeps getting the short end of the stick. So for starters, I noticed early in his career, he was always known as the Big Charlo, right? And the most feared of the Charlos.
No doubt.
So when they were both at 154, you would find the opponents, the names, I should say, more inclined to fight Jermall before they fight Jermall. So if you look at their records, I think Jermall has 4 more fights than Jermall. And that's a testament of that. Like,
and a much better resume because of that.
Yeah. People don't really say that Jermall hasn't fought anyone as much as they say that about Jermall.
Well, Jermall definitely got a resume on him, for sure. And we know that. But anyway, yeah.
So if you look at Jermall's resume, right, he's 31-0 with, I think, 20 knockouts. But his biggest names on there is, Austin Trout, J-Rock, Julian Williams, and probably his last fight against Derevyanchenko.
Which aren't bad names at all. But for someone of the caliber of a Jermall Charlo, this is someone that can dominate the middleweight division, historically one of the best divisions in the whole sport. For him to not have that marquee fight yet, he's over 30 years old, that's ridiculous.
So why is everybody ducking him?
You seen him fight before or no?
Yeah, I seen him fight before. I seen both brothers fight. So
Jermall Charlo is a tough nut to crack. Yeah. Extremely hard hands, right? He hits real hard. His defense is extremely solid. His chin is a 10 out of 10. He's conditioned as hell. He's very hard to beat. And he doesn't have that huge name. Floyd Mayweather was extremely hard to beat. He never lost. But you knew you were going to make the most money of your life fighting Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're willing to take that fight. You're willing to lose, all right? Jermall Charlo, that's not the case. You know, he's not drawing that type of crowd for you to say, okay, there's a good chance I'm going to lose to him. Is the payday going to be worth it?
So part of it is the politics.
Yep.
Now, when I say the politics, I'm talking Jermall fights on PBC.
Okay.
Under Al Heyman. The big names in his division are Canelo, Triple G, Danny Jacobs, Demetrius Andrade. All of these guys were on different sides. They were fighting on HBO or they were fighting on DAZN, right? Dazin. That's what I like to call it.
That's what I thought it was.
That's how that shit pronounced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how it's spelled.
That's
That's
how
how
it
it's
reads.
spelled.
But
So you saying he's the only big dog on PBC as far as his weight
he's
class?
not the only big dog. I'm trying to think who else there at 160, 168.
PBC.
At 168,
What?
you got David Benavidez if he is planning on going at 168. Right now he's 160,
Okay.
but he came up from 154.
Caleb Plant is PBC.
Yeah, PBC is Caleb Plant also.
We would have to look at it. That new
And I'm saying like in 160, he's the only big dog on PBC at 160.
he's the biggest dog.
Okay.
Definitely the biggest.
Makes sense.
Just put it to you like that. Yeah.
And
He's
everybody
definitely-
else is where?
Right now, DAZN has everybody just about. But,
Okay.
but everybody's kind of moving up to 168. 160 is kind of, it's just him and Andre, right?
Yeah, but you got so many guys that can flex, that can kind of move up and down too, So
I'm trying to think. Jaime Munguia, what was he at?
Munguia, Jaime Munguia.
He's 160
He's
now, too.
160. He's 160 right now.
I think he's the zone, too.
Berlanga's 68, right?
Berlinga 68. So I feel like 68 is heating up more than 160. But you got a couple of guys, probably Jared Hurd, or he's probably going to go to 160.
Jared Hurd definitely going to have to go to 160. What do you think about Jared Hurd? DA, because you're shaking your head.
Look, man.
So we're really
Jared-
close to, where's he from?
Hurd.
Akakit?
Yeah, so he from
So-
here.
Yeah, he from PG
I
County.
was rocking with him. He the home team. Until the last fight, he just
For the fight before, you talking about the one against the one that he lost, right?
yeah, the one that he
J-Rock.
lost.
The one
it
before
was-
last against
it
J
was-
Rock.
It was bad. Like it was real bad.
Yeah, your man look like some shit.
Yeah.
I don't.
but-
It's like his. I feel like he takes too many punches.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, and it's not even like just like a regular taking too many punches. Like he literally takes a beating.
So this is another conversation for another day, but this is Hurd's problem. When you grow up
Yeah.
and you're bigger than everyone, it's certain skills you don't have to learn.
Yeah,
So what Jared Hurd was what we call a weight class bully. He was only good because he was the biggest dude in the weight class.
okay.
And he,
I mean,
Right.
that makes sense. That
So
showed up.
when someone could match his physicality and also had skill, he didn't have a chance.
nah,
yeah, I definitely agree, but I don't want to get sidetracked.
Right.
I want to make
Yeah,
sure we
'cause
let
that-
him know.
that I was definitely about to go down that hole.
But anyway, yeah, let's not.
Let me
let's
cook
not
with Charlo.
digress
Let
too
me
much.
let me cook with
all
Charlo.
right,
Go ahead.
So, all right. So it started with everyone, the bigger names picking his brother, but even his brother, even Jermall was being ducked by the bigger names. He like Canelo could have fought Jermall.
Yeah,
So then, just so you know, Charlo and Canelo are 2 months apart in age and fought in the same divisions the whole way. So when he was at 154, Canelo could have fought him. Did not. So Canelo moved to 160. Jermall moved to 160. Jermall became his mandatory.
yeah.
And that's when the WBC came out with a new belt called the franchise belt. So nobody understood what that was. Like, what does this mean? And all it means is you don't have to fight your mandatories. He's saying that you're such a big name in the sport that you shouldn't have to worry about mandatories.
Yeah, you could just fight. You could just
Whoever
go
you
after
wanna
prize
fight.
fights.
Yeah, because a lot of times your mandatories are not that great of a fighter,
When
and you could get more money fighting another
Right.
champion or another big name.
right now in this
So
case,
that's how they justify it.
Exactly.
now in this case, the mandatory being Jermall Charlo was the biggest name and the best fight for him.
Okay.
You see that, and he was going off fighting guys that weren't big fights, or they tried to hype it up to be, but the
But
real
the
real
reality
fight,
was some bullshit.
the real fight, yeah, exactly, straight up bullshit. The real fight was always Jermall Charlo since 154.
And also, when Canelo was at 160, I do believe Andre was the last guy with a belt.
Yeah, and he avoided Andre.
And he
too.
said he wanted to unify. He didn't fight Andre. He ended up going up. So
So why, like, my thing is why is it all this ducking? Why are we not fighting the best fighters? Is it
because
of
you can
money
get away
or
with
it's
it.
'cause of-
So you can get away with it. But hold on.
Y'all telling me he was the best one next to him in every weight class that they stepped up together, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I don't
So-
understand is how that fight doesn't happen.
Because they say Charlo hasn't fought anyone. How you gonna fight someone if everybody that you want to fight doesn't want to fight you?
Yeah, so none of the names want to fight him. Triple G avoided him as well.
That's another one.
Now, here's the thing about Canelo. What it seems to me is that Canelo is looking for the path of least resistance to the most money. And it seems like he's been doing that for a long time. I think he wants to be Floyd Mayweather as a businessman.
Floyd Money Mayweather.
Right.
You know how Floyd toward the end of his career would pick certain.
Yeah.
He stopped. Okay.
It was pure business. Now Floyd
You're
had.
saying that's what Canelo at right now.
He's trying to do that. His problem is, number one, he can't market himself nowhere near as well as Floyd did. Number two, he didn't have 10 years of pure dominance where he fought every single fighter. And, you know, if you follow Floyd's career from the late 90s to the late 2000s, people were ducking him. Shane Mosley ducked him. Oscar De La Hoya ducked him until he finally fought him, you know, and there's a lot of guys in between that as well. Canelo tried to jump straight to that without putting in the work. So to me, you know, he's trying to jump to the next big money man, right? He wants to be the richest fighter of all time. And you could tell.
It's not just Canelo. You got to keep in mind he has management and advisors
Who is his management?
Right now, I think he's his own manager because he just left De La Hoya.
But let's talk about who the manager was this whole time. Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd's arch nemesis. You know what I'm saying? So, look, Floyd Mayweather, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, has a lot to do with a lot of shit that happens.
Absolutely.
Right? He has a lot to do with it. When you have a guy like Oscar, Floyd and Oscar hate each other, no doubt about that, right? So when you got a guy like Oscar managing a Canelo Alvarez, you know, in Oscar's mind, you could easily see him trying to say, look, you know, you could do the same thing he did. Let's do it this way. You know what I'm saying? But it's just not. It's not justified. It's not gonna work.
If you look at Canelo's career, guys who could move their feet and had speed, those are the guys that gave him the most trouble.
There's Lenny Lara,
Trout. So he's been
Floyd Mayweather.
Mayweather made him look terrible. So at this point, he's like, I'm not taking on any of those type of fights. I'm gonna fight the same type of guys. He's been picking on UK guys. So, and then every time he fights someone, it's at a certain advantage. I'll fight you at this weight, fight you at that weight. I'm gonna fight you on a short notice, you know. So, but all right, we've been saying that.
Back to Jermall though. So, what is his trajectory to get like the respect and where he needs to be? Like, who does he need to fight tomorrow?
He's already earned the fight with anybody in boxing.
Okay.
At this point,
but you need to fight Canelo tomorrow.
Exactly. Okay. That should have happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, far as what the Canelo protectors will say is, he need to go fight Andre. So that's another thing. I know we've been saying politics and biased a lot, but a lot of it is race, blatant race. So a lot of times there's a great matchmaker. I think it's Cameron Duncan. He had a rule, MBF, no black fighters.
That's crazy.
Because they say, you know, your average white guy. He said if you ask your average white guy to throw a jab, he would throw it like a girl. He'd turn around and it wouldn't look right. You ask the average black guy in any major city, he'll just pop a jab out. He's like, they're just better athletes. So you just avoid them.
That's crazy.
So they've already made it clear that's what they're doing, right? They're avoiding. So at this point, I don't know what more Charlo can do. So yeah, the race thing, man. So they're basically purposely avoiding the black fighters, right? And not only are they avoiding them, they would also take their opponents. So let's say another prospect or someone that's, you know, has some notoriety is coming up, and Jermall Charlo's about to get that fight. Then Canelo or Triple G can say nah and go fight him.
And they always gonna take Canelo or Triple G over Charlo because that's the easier fight. Number one, number two, they're gonna make more money.
Like, you notice Danny Jacobs has fought both of them.
Yeah. So Canelo knocked that prospect off, build his name up, and then Charlo sitting there,
so
like
waiting for a fight.
Waiting for a fight.
That's another guy they call for. They want Charlo to fight Jacobs, right? But now if he beats Jacobs, what are they gonna say? Jacobs already lost to Triple G and Canelo.
So he ain't worthy anyway.
Yeah, he's damaged good.
Right, he's damaged goods at this point. So if Charlo beats him, you're not getting nowhere near the credit he would have gotten if he beat him before Canelo beat him or Triple G beat him.
So, and at this point, Charlo's on pay-per-view, so he's making money. It's not like it's not a fight that's going to make money. Canelo just fought Caleb Smith, and he has his sparring partner coming up next. And so
we got a what coming up next?
He's fighting his sparring partner.
Canelo is fighting his sparring partner.
And his sparring partner's coming off a loss.
Now, he just fought Caleb Smith, right? who would not sell a pay-per-view event to his own damn family, right?
Nah.
Charlo is headlining his own pay-per-view shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, he doesn't want to fight Jermall Charlo. So you can't say it's a business thing. It's different if you say, nah, I'm going to go take the money. You know, you may be the best guy, but I'm a businessman. I'm going to go take the money. He's not even doing that.
I'm going to take a second to run off some names that Canelo fought when he could have fought Charlo. Rocky Fielding.
Who that?
Exactly.
All right. Next. James Kirkland.
I don't know.
That was a long time ago, though.
Amir Khan.
Amir Khan.
Okay.
That's terrible.
Caleb Smith.
Liam Smith.
Caleb's brother.
You went up
both the brothers.
Yeah. Chavez Jr.
Yeah, Jesus Chavez Jr.
That's 6 people. Is like, bro, you could have fought
And then
Charlo.
Kovalev, number one, that was the fishiest fucking fight I done seen in a long time. Kovalev took a damn dive. That's number one. Number two, he gave him how many weeks notice? Like 5 weeks notice after he just fought.
It was like 4 weeks notice.
After he just fought
not
Anthony
just
Yard.
fought, he had just got like almost stopped.
Yes, Anthony Yard almost knocked this shit out.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like he dominated. Anthony Yard almost took his head off in that fight. Like, it was this close to going the other way. And I guarantee you, if Yard won, Canelo wasn't fighting Yard.
And trust me, the fight camp means something. I know a casual fan might hear, oh, yeah, 4 weeks, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? No, you need 12 weeks.
I think that sounds even crazy to a casual fan.
Yeah, that's 4 weeks is kind of wild for boxing because I mean they got an
About to fight. Yeah, you about to
got-
fight another grown man that's trained to kill you.
You're supposed to let your body
Yeah.
recover and everything. But
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, 4 weeks sound definitely wild, but like, so what does Charlo got to do? Like, you're telling me it's nothing he can do with?
So that's a
all
good
this?
question.
Like,
If we were to map out a game plan for Jermall Charlo, knowing the way the landscape is, how would that look?
I don't think anything.
How would you advise Charlo?
First of all, I don't think anything that he does makes a difference other than maybe being more vocal public.
Well, you can always market yourself, try to market yourself better to make yourself a big enough attraction to where people think it's worth the money to fight you.
So if he turns into a Gary Russell Jr. and gets on Instagram, whatever he's on every other day, calling people out, talking
Well, shit, that's another damn video for another day, Gary Russell, because he having the same problem.
And that one's coming.
That was coming, but
what happened?
But if he does that, does that make him?
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen.
Supposed to be?
What's gonna happen is I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna say apply pressure.
yeah.
But the Canelo protectors and media who protect him, they're gonna say, "Oh, he hasn't fought anyone. It's all cap.
It's all cap.
He's clout chasing Canelo."
Yeah.
But the media, can we get into the media situation? Because we had this conversation before. As a casual fan,
Yeah.
we see what's going on ESPN. We see what's going on, whatever outlet you looking on. They're
So-
bigging up who?
Put like this: the casual fan, you used to all the other major sports having one governing body and one commissioner.
Absolutely.
So every sport has some kind of bias or some prejudice in there, but you usually think they're pretty fair for the most part.
It ain't nothing like
it's
boxing.
one governing body.
Yeah, but boxing is like, no, every outlet you hear is biased. Like I will say this: you could find more people who are. It boils down to is everybody's opinion, right?
Yeah.
So what you got to
Everybody
find,
working for somebody.
yeah, well, that's what I was about to say. What you got to find is someone with an opinion that knows boxing that's not getting paid for it.
Okay. But I mean, that's
That's where a real opinion
for
comes in.
everybody to hear. That's gonna be tough to find.
So,
Yeah.
but if you run into ESPN is top ranked in Bob Arum. They're only going to support their fighters, and even worse, they're going to bash the PBC.
Yeah, ESPN is the worst out of everybody with it, to be honest.
So, and if you're going to Ring Magazine, I don't know who's still reading magazines, but if you run into their anything that they published, it's going to support De La Hoya and Golden Boy.
Okay.
Then Eddie Hearn and DAZN,
They got their
own thing.
Then you go to Fox, and then you got Al Heyman, and you got Floyd Mayweather and his guys.
But here's the thing.
Oh, this shit is
Hold
really
on.
like.
Hold on.
It's like some gang
This
shit.
It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
this shit is really like politics.
Yeah.
But the only primarily, black organization is the PBC, right?
Okay.
And Al Heyman stole most of De La Hoya's guys back in the day, right? So they don't have a good working relationship. So honestly, it's only De La Hoya and Golden Boy, top ranking Bob Arum, and Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. They kind of play nice with each other. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the PBC,
basically all the white people play nice, and then the black people are by themselves. Boxing is basically segregated.
But then you have the belts, the organizations that own the belts, right? They also are bought. Like every time you see a WBO, it's most likely it's gonna be a top ranked belt. It's gonna be a top ranked fighter with the belt. He's not gonna fight anyone else.
That shit is too much though. Like
the WBC, anything Canelo says, that's what they're gonna go with.
The biggest,
too many governing bodies.
Not only that, so because you've always had this. The difference between the past and now is that now they're all fighting for supremacy, basically.
Okay.
It's an equal playing field. So ever since HBO, boxing has been down, Fox emerged, Showtime emerged, and then you had all of these governing bodies kind of sprout up. Like, the zone's relatively new. Bob Arum has been around since day one, damn near. Right, but his power has come down, and then you had Mayweather and Al Heyman come up. You got everybody equal.
That's what I was gonna add.
So no one's willing to, kind of give any ground, right? Give up any ground. So everybody's like, nah, who the fuck you think you are? We gonna do it my way.
Yeah. And you gotta keep in mind the PBC was built on Mayweather's back.
Yeah,
when Mayweather was the biggest thing in boxing, and he brought up Showtime, he brought up the PBC with him, and he was always the most hated.
Yeah,
so
especially by Arum and Oscar De La Hoya.
So they're still there.
So the history between Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, and Floyd Mayweather is a whole other video for another day. But if you don't know about that, you should look that up. There's a very vast history with that. And everything that goes on now has a lot to do with that.
So when people say they on the other side, that's real.
100% real.
That's real. And you can point to situations where, they made fights with fighters on the other side, but those are like the biggest fights in boxing. It has to be a lot of money.
Basically, until one of these organizations, becomes preeminent over the other ones, and they start to sign up all the fighters, you're probably not going to see a lot of these fights happen when you want them to happen. For example, if Bob Arum has every fighter, he can match the guys up, right? And do what he wants. But if a quarter of the fighter is with the PBC, a quarter is with DAZN, a quarter is with Golden Boy, and a quarter is with Top Rank, that's when you get people picking sides, and then you say, nah, I'm not going to fight over there because I don't like black people, or I'm not going to fight over there because fuck Oscar De La Hoya. And then, you get this damn crossfire.
So basically you're saying we just going to keep seeing a bunch of bullshit ass fights until
for a while
they get their shit together.
Yeah.
It's a business at the end of the day. It's a business.
Shit is whack, though.
And it is. And the people in charge don't get along.
It's a lot of feelings involved, which is the main issue, because at the end of the day, it is a business. But if I'm Bob Arum and you Al Heyman, and there's money to be made, we should be able to come up to an agreement, right? But that's not going to happen because of the emotional side of things.
But
Floyd Mayweather fucked a lot of shit up when it comes to Bob Arum. I'll put it to you like that.
Coming from a casual fan, like, the casual fan don't know all of that shit.
Right.
All they see is, oh, he a dog at this way. He a dog at this way. Why they not fighting each other? And of course, they get on Instagram, get on Twitter, whatever they get on and say, fight hype, whatever's on YouTube. Oh, he ducking me. He ducking me.
So the casual just gonna go for everybody word, or whoever the most convincing.
Ducking me is the cover up for this shit, basically.
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah.
I think it's
somebody ducking somebody.
It's fighters that are ducking, but they always have excuses that make sense that go along with the business.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people in the background telling them to say certain things.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, the ducking is the blanket for all the other bullshit that everybody else not tapped into.
Basically,
a lot of fights not happening.
That's the surface level shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For the casual fight, that's all they hear.
When you know the history of boxing since the '90s, since what happened with, like I said, Arum, and what happened with Oscar De La Hoya, and how Al Heyman came into the fold, and the way HBO boxing went down because of Floyd Mayweather leaving it. That's when you start to really understand what the hell is going on, and you start to get a deeper insight.
Nah, for real.
So we've definitely gone a little off topic here.
Nah, for sure.
But what I will say before we end this video is, if you think about if Charlo would have got that fight with Canelo 4 years ago, and would have beat Canelo, and was undefeated since then, what type of star power would he have now? Like, how could he have changed his community?
Not only that, you got a twin brother who's if not, as good, damn near as good as you.
Yeah.
you know, that's extremely marketable. The way they talk is marketable. The way they look is marketable. You're talking about a completely different landscape at this point.
So he's 30 now. I mean, he still has time, but he could already be a huge star now.
He should be.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. And it's definitely politics. I definitely see racism playing a part.
100%.
So.
And that's always going to be the case. It doesn't matter which race is in charge. That's going to be the case. It don't matter, right? You always going to see that. And you got to understand that. But I'll just say this. As a boxing guy, it is so frustrating. Because all we want to see is the fights, you know? And
especially when y'all coming out with these pound for pounds. You know, everybody's pound for pound is different. But when you putting these top guys there and they're ducking the other guys, you know, that are their contemporaries right there. It's like, how can you even say they're going to be pound for pound when they won't fight the best?
That's exactly why pound for pound don't mean shit. And we talk about it all the time because when you talk about people's resumes, you can't even look at it equally because the resumes is built on the bias, is built on the politics of it. So you could have a fighter that's a much better boxer that's just not getting the same opportunities. That's why coming up we're gonna have our top 10 boxers. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another vid for another day. But
tell us what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, join the conversation. This one hit home with me. I had a rough week, like I said, thinking about all of this stuff. But yeah, tell us what you think. And Still TV. See y'all next time.
Remaining undefeated, proving he is one of the elite champions of the sport today, and still.